everybody. This is David with Timeout. Just want to let you know, if you haven't listened to part one of this video yet, you're going to want to go back and listen to that for context. But we stopped the conversation short for time's sake. Now we're going to pick it back up and talk a little bit more about reporting. Enjoy the episode.
100%. And what we see is once our clients get exposed to information like this, they typically don't even know these visualizations are possible, right? They don't understand the power of the data that they're capturing. Once they see it and taste it, then they become addicted to it. And it's the same with the hospital administration. And so thankfully for all of these reports, you can set up automated sharing, PDFs. So all of these heat maps can be sent out automatically to key stakeholders within your organization. So once the hospital sees it, you will see that they start coming back to you to understand what does night call look like, how well are we using our ORs, because the hospital has their own expenses, right? The OR staff. And they will start coming to you asking for these reports, because it's been our experience, it is very difficult to get meaning like this out of existing systems. And so we not only visualize it, but we make it really easy to share, automate that sharing. So you just set up the schedule and then you never deal with it again. And every month or every quarter, these heat map or location utilization scorecards will get sent out to hospital administration. And it really tightens the bond between you and the hospital. So you become a trusted partner that says, we're trying to solve the same problems you are. Our incentives are very aligned. We want your success is our success, and these are the things you may want to consider, and this is the information that we have to base those recommendations on.
Yeah, it engenders trust, right? Which is what we've kind of talked about before. And because until you can visualize the data like this and kind of see what's really happening, all you have is perception, right? Everyone's individual perception of what they think is happening, and a lot of decisions are being made based on those perceptions. But like you've also said before, Jeff, I think and said very well, is that we're not after blame here. We're after the truth, and the truth lies in the data. And when you can get at the truth, and when you can see what's going on, it just engenders trust with your facility, because you're being transparent about the data. You're some of the adjustments that may need to be made to make things more efficient. It's going to be a give and take on both sides in many cases. So I think this is just a great example of where, when you can surface the data, you get rid of the emotionality that may be associated with the perceptions, and you look at the hard facts about what's happening, and then you can make better decisions. So this is a great example of all that.
Matt, you bring up a great point. And just a couple episodes, we were talking to Bobby Wong from Nexamatic, and he brought up almost the exact same point about how data begins to remove the bias from the surgical process. And like you said, and from the surgical, from the way we evaluate the entire surgical process. And Jeff, you're right, has said this before, that when everybody thinks they're above average, somebody has to be wrong, right? somebody has to be below average. And yeah, some people are above, but everybody thinks they are. And when you can remove the I think or I feel from it, the truth kind of comes to light. And now you can do things that are meaningful. And I really, Matt, I want to give huge compliments to your team and their capabilities of extracting this data. But being able, we just saw the utilization report, but we didn't just look at one report, right? We got to see it from 3 different perspectives, all of which brought out kind of new meaning each time. And huge compliments to your team. That's fantastic work.
Yeah, well, thank you. And we do have a great team, and it's really the combination of the clinical expertise and that kind of that subject matter expertise that comes from the functional understanding of kind of the healthcare workflows that people like Jeff bring into the conversation, and then the technical expertise of the engineers who can take the data and kind of massage it and help produce these type of visualizations. So this is also a demonstration of a great, that great partnership at play. And that's what makes all these things a success. It's just having all the right people as part of the conversation to solve the problem.
I couldn't agree more. And Jeff, that reminds me of conversations I've heard you have about when you were doing residency and when you were in school and then coming into your career and seeing, what technology and what was available, especially to anesthesia providers. How does that, you feel like we've come a long way since then?
We have. I mean, obviously the adoption of EMRs, electronic data capture, has come leaps and bounds in the past 10 years, past 10, 15 years. And I think now the new phase is how do we get meaning from all this data that we're collecting? Said another way, people are really frustrated because like, hey, I put all that information in it. Why can't I answer this question? And the reality is it's hard. And a lot of systems struggle with doing it. There are a lot of very real, good, legitimate technical reasons that it's a challenge, especially if you're an organization that is spread across the country, especially if you're an organization that has multiple EMRs, multiple vendors, multiple healthcare systems. That is an entire different problem. And I will say it's very specific, it's very unique to the practice of anesthesia. Most of these reporting issues are getting solved by healthcare systems or one hospital system that says, I need X. But if you're an anesthesia group that services 12, a dozen, 30, 40 different hospitals, trying to aggregate all of that data centrally in one organization, which is your company, so that you can provide standard experiences regardless of who your hospital IT team is an entirely unique challenge. That makes sense. Even in academics, with one Epic facility across 4 or 5 different branches of your just healthcare system within your local area. Yeah, I understand that's a challenge, but try doing that across the country where now you have a dozen different Epic implementations and you're trying to get comparative data as an anesthesia organization to say, how does the Graphium Medical Center compare to the Graphium Surgery Center compare to, Timbuktu, Kansas Surgery Center, which we provide services for. So it just takes this challenge to a whole nother level to say, not only are we trying to get it out of one hospital system, but we're trying to do it for every hospital system across your organization so that you can easily just click up in filters and say, you just type in the name of the facilities you're wanting to run reports on, and everything is at your fingertips. So from an enterprise standpoint, the power to be able to do this, can't be overstated. It's really hard to do just if you're just at a one hospital place, but to do it across the country is again a different order of magnitude. And I think we have some other podcasts talking a bit about those technical challenges. That it's believe it or not, it's not some evil intent by people to try to hide the truth from anesthesia, which is what I think a natural bias is for us. The reality is there are real technical challenges to making that possible. So I love solving these kinds of problems, and I think this is a great example of how we do it. We have many more. I'm sure we'll get into them later.
Well, I think just to cap it off, I think your passion and Matt's passion for the data and everything comes through really clearly in the final product. I really think this is something to be proud of, and looking forward to talking more about reports in future episodes. But thank you again, Matt. Thank you, Jeff, for being here. I thought this was fantastic, and can't wait to have you on again.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, David.
All right. Talk soon, guys.